Hello, thank you again for viewing this telecast. My name is Deji Olaya, and I'm in the island. I have with me in the studio, as always, I have Mr. Olaitan Adedigba, who is based in the United States of America. Mr. Adedigba, you are welcome to today's meeting.
Yes, my pleasure being here this afternoon.
I also have Mr. Olalawal, who is based in Canada. Mr. Lawal, you are also welcome to today's meeting.
Thank you for having me.
As you know, today is the day before Christmas. It's going to be our last meeting for this year. We just want to wish all our customers Merry Christmas and a happy and meritorious New Year that is coming. We want to wish you all the season greetings. We hope that you've had a very lovely year, and we pray that next year we bring you with abundance, with prosperity, and all your heart's desires will be granted. So today, we are going to continue from where we started last week. We were talking about the stalemate in Rivers State. So in the last few weeks, a few things has happened. And we saw that there was a meeting, supposedly a meeting, between the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who met with all the different sites from Rivers State, including the governor of Rivers State, Governor Fubara, and his predecessor, Mr. Nyesom Wike, who is currently the Minister of Federal Capital Territory. So now what we have to discuss today was a piece of agreement that was supposedly reached between the different parties. And in that agreement, we understood that a few things were laid out that were supposed to be done. First, we saw that the agreement says that all the 27 lawmakers who have defected from PDP to APC and who, according to the Constitution of Nigeria, have lost their seats. The governor was, directed to accommodate them, to bring them back. And also all the commissioners who resigned their positions during the stalemate, who have now resigned, the governor was also asked to bring them back. And also, the governor has read the budget for the year. He has signed it into law. He was also directed to represent that budget before the 27 lawmakers who has defected. Now, a lot of people have been saying, this doesn't look like an agreement. It looked like a one-sided sheet of paper that was written, and that possibly the governor was forced to sign this paper. And one of the people, I watched a telecast on Arise News, and somebody came in there and said he was actually in that meeting, and he said that there was no deliberation, that they were all sitting down, and the president came out, into the meeting, came into the meeting with a sheet of paper in his hand and said, this is a presidential proclamation, and that he wants somebody to read it, and you have to sign it. If you don't sign it, you know the consequences. So let me start with you, Lighton, since you are the first person in the studio. First of all, are you disappointed with what happened on that day? Are you disappointed, or do you think this is the way things should be done?
Yeah, I'm not disappointed. I know I cannot be disappointed because I wasn't there. So there's no way I can be disappointed. But to me, based on the elders in the South calling on President Tinubu to come and intervene in that affairs, right? It's not too. It's nice idea for him to intervene, but he should do it within the confines of the Constitution, right? You don't just get up and listen. I ordinarily I should have expected him as a national a statement to call to the two parties, not that you just sit down somewhere and come out, listen to one side, and listen everybody, all the parties that are concerned, and their supporters, listen to them, then ask them. You don't just impose your thought on people. Ask them what is the way out. So after they tell you that this is the way out, then you can now say, okay, this is how I feel. I mean, how I feel. You call the lawyers. Your attorney general should even be included. That how are we doing? Right? Is it okay? Is it normal? Is it fair? Is it just to all the people that are concerned? This is the way I view it. As me, that is the way I believe it should be done. Right? And not that we just come outside and we ask them to sign. If you don't sign, that is the consequence. But I believe that is an hearsay. Mr. President will not say that. But it's normal for him as the father of the nation to intervene in the affair, right? But not to impose his own thought. Right? Politics apart now, this time around, all these people, all the 27 people that are signed from PDP, they automatically they've lost their seat. No doubt about it. What are they doing? They should know, right? And not that because APC is at the federal and why the PDP, no, at the opposition, no, you don't do that. Let them lose their seat. So it will be as a deterrent to others that you don't just scream, you don't just go from one place to another. No, for what? It's wrong. They should have ideology. They should be. We need people constructive criticism. We need people who tell them that this is the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Anybody can believe that what I'm doing is right, but if there's nobody to checkmate them, that is the essence of check and balances. You should be able. Let's say, for example, when President Obasanjo on fiscal policy, President Obasanjo said, okay, he wants to know how the states they are spending their allocation. No, the states, they went to the court. And the Supreme Court, they're up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said you have no moral right. They are the chief officer of their own states. That is the way they spend their own allocation, fiscal allocation is meant for them. You are for the federal. There is what we call exclusive power. So they have the exclusive power. They have the residual power. It lies on them. Okay. Right? So it's normal.
Okay. Thank you very much. Shupo, I just want to bring your attention to the details of the agreement. Now, when I read through the agreement, the first thing that struck me was that I miss Buhari. If there's anything you can take away from President Buhari, Buhari is always fair to everybody. Buhari will have had that meeting. They will have come out with a proclamation that will have been fair on both sides. But in this instance, we saw that everything was one-sided. It was the governor that has to do this, he has to do that, he has to do this and do that and do this. It looked like it's a 100% on wicked side. So are we beginning to see an emperor in action in Nigeria? Is this the beginning of tyranny? Is Tinubu going to end up as a tyrant in office?
Thank you for having me. I think what we're seeing is someone that may be a political heavyweight locally, but when it comes to national and international affairs, it looks to me that he still has a lot to learn. And I'm saying this from the backdrop of, if we look at what happened, in the initial stages of his administration, when there was a coup in Niger, what happened? He quickly gave an ultimatum. And then what happened afterwards? Nothing. His influence and Nigeria's influence and interest is significantly diminished, at least within the context of those three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Now, if we take it back to what has happened here, first and foremost, why are you asking parties to sign an agreement? I mean, if you are intervening in a matter and you are trying as an elder brother, an elder statesman, or as a president, there is no need in the first place to sign an agreement, in my opinion. It's a gentleman's resolution, and parties, will kind of find their footing and move forward. That's the first thing. So to me, the only reason you will ask parties to sign an agreement is if you intend to use it in a legal framework if they don't meet the agreement that they've agreed to. Now, that means that first and foremost, the articles of the agreement has to be legal. You can't have something illegal in an agreement, and because parties sign it, then you intend to use it as to kind of hold them accountable. Now, if you look at the very first article in that agreement, it says all matters instituted in the courts by the governor of Rivers State, Fubara, and his team in respect of the political crisis in Rivers State shall be withdrawn immediately. That's fair. If you are resolving issues, it's okay. Let's take these issues out of the courts. And we will have a gentleman's agreement. What is striking in that very first article is there is no mentioning of the PDP as a political party. And what is happening really is an internal crisis within members of the PDP party. Where's the PDP in all of this? Nowhere to be found. I think the first thing we need to take away from this is there is no viable opposition in Nigeria as of today from the PDP. The PDP is really nowhere to be found to resolve a crisis that is really, if not properly managed, might actually tear that party down. I think that's the first thing. Secondly, when you look at all of the other things in there, it says impeachment positions initiated against the governor of Rivers State by this Rivers State House of Assembly should be dropped immediately. That is in favor of Fubara. So, if you look at all of the other articles, it may appear to be a bit, one-sided. And I would agree actually with that conclusion because, all of the other items seem to kind of favor the members of the House that kind of defected. I think when you have a situation like this, there are things that you can take back. There are things that you cannot. What can you take back? You can ask parties who have filed cases in the courts to withdraw their cases.
Yes.
That is possible. There is nothing illegal about that. I guess the only thing is if any of the incidents that happened is criminal, then it is not the person who has brought the issue before the courts. It's not only their decision because we're actually dealing with matters that may be deemed criminal, but it isn't. I mean, these are issues that are civil in nature, which parties aren't able to resolve, and they are now asking the courts to step in. So that can be reversed. Parties in the House that are actually moving motion for impeachment, they can withdraw and drop those. So those are things that can be done. What cannot be done is where a case where members of the House have resigned, for example, that you can't take back. You can't unresign an appointment that you've resigned. That's the first thing. Also, parties or members of the House that have crossed carpets, you can't undo that. I mean, if I were the PDP, I wouldn't take them back. So, and what does the Constitution now say with respect, to people who have actually crossed carpets? It says that their seat is open. So in that regard, I don't think the agreement is constitutional. It is not the Governor Fubara who fired them, and legally he cannot fire them.
They did so by their own
people
volition.
that resigned, and commissioners that resigned cannot just be called, but they resigned. It's a voluntary action. And as well, the members of the House who crossed carpets, they cannot go back. So I would think that the right thing to do is, to ask the party to nominate new members, to fill those seats.
Okay, super.
Or whatever the appropriate legal
constitutional, yeah,
to play out.
Thank you, Shukwa. Let me go back to Lighton. Lighton, we've seen, like, considering everything, I love Shukwa's lay down, all the stuffs. Okay, so there are things you can take back. There are things that has to go through constitutional procedure. Okay, so if somebody has cross-carpeted, what does the Constitution say? You can't just tell them to take them back. You understand? If somebody has done his appointment as a commissioner and say, I can't work with this governor, why should the governor take him back? So the question I want to ask you, Lighton, is putting this all on the table now. I'm sure Fubara has gone back home. His people have told him, no, we don't want this paper. We don't want this agreement. We don't want this proclamation. We are not in support of it, but we support you. He will now have time to sit back, catch his breath and say, I'm not going to do this. So if he now, refuse, first of all, to recall those commissioners, number two, to take back those 27, new APC members who have, of course, capital. If he now decided, is the major man in his state, is the governor of a state, a subnational. It's not subjected to the federal government. If he now decided, okay, I'm not going to do this, and the president has said there are consequences, what are the consequences?
It sounds so funny. You've said it, that you asked me earlier on that, is he want to become a autocratic, want to become this, want to become that? But I don't want to, what I don't know. I do, because Nigerian press, they normally disseminate falsehood. So I don't want to believe up to now that Mr. President can say there is a consequence for him not to sign. For what? Is the chief security advisor, is the chief security of that state. He can do whatever he wants in that state, right? And that is the major issue we don't face in Nigeria. When something is like, when we have a case like this, all parties, they have to come together. In crisis management, we go to the regime of right, the regime of left, come to the center and form an equilibrium. You let them state their own cases with their people, their supporters. The state is factionalized already. Let them come. So once they come, then you ask them to go. You can even ask them to go back. Ponder over what I've just said. Not that you intimidate people into signing agreement. It's wrong. You don't do that. He has his supporter who will not go down well with him. But he needs to go, like rightly said, he needs to go back, reflect on it. That is it okay? Is it normal? Are we? Like Wike said, he said it's a politics, and they don't want the structure to be destroyed. And the structure where it steals the state money. That is the root cause of all this problem, right? You want money to be coming, like, for what? That is where we need an enabling environment for all these public officers. They should be held accountable for whatever they are doing while in office, right? So if they are holding them responsible, the issue of coming out to say, my structure, what structure? Structure how to steal 4 billion every month. To do what?
Lighton, please, let's be careful. Let's be careful now.
These are the area. So, but I believe, I'm strongly believe, with what I've seen, that the legislature who have defected, they should come back. The what's it called? The commissioner who have resigned, they should be injected. They should come back. All this stuff, it's not go. It doesn't not go well. Right? Let them be a scapegoat, a deterrent. Once they know that okay, they've done that. If they do this, Wike can still wait for. Look at what happened in Lagos State. Ambode, they don't want to give him second term, right? So they waited till he finishes the first tenure. Not that they eat the polity in Lagos State. They did do all this stuff in River State. They waited for him. So when the second time come, they said, okay, let's go to the field if we win. So this is how it should be, right? There should be a level of experience. I mean, an experience govern ignorance. So that is my thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Like now, Chupo, I'm going to ask you to respond to the same question. So I don't want to read the mind of the president. He's somebody who has gone through exactly the same thing in Lagos. I think within 2003, when he was governor of Lagos, I wanted to create local government development areas in Lagos. The president then, General Olusegun Obasanjo, said, no, you can't do that. But he said, no, this is my state. I'm a subnational. I can do whatever I like. This is my state. And then there was a kind of tussle. And the then president decided to withdraw his allocation for 8 years, didn't get an allocation from the federal government. Do you see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu going down the same path as President Obasanjo? Is it likely to, because I was, from what I heard and the way I understand it, if you don't do what I asked you to do, there are going to be consequences. What do you think the consequences will be if Governor Fubara said, listen, I'm the chief security officer of my state. This is subnational. Yeah. I'm the governor of Rivers. And I have the right, to rule my state according to my own, the way I see it. And I'm not going to take orders from anybody.
Actually, what I understand about Fubara's demeanor is that he's a gentleman. So he's not somebody that I would think would actually, confront the president in that manner. But one thing personally that I would have actually done is I would have asked the question, if you say that if I don't sign this agreement, this is a presidential order, you know what that means. I would have asked, I don't know what it means. Can you explain to me what it means if I don't sign this order? Look, that in civilized societies is a threat. And as small as you can think Fubara is, as just a state governor, he's an elected official. He wasn't put there by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was put there by the people of Rivers State. He owes no allegiance to the president. His allegiance is to the people of Rivers State. So when you start making statements like, this is a presidential order, you cannot give a presidential order for a crisis that is state. That jurisdiction belongs to the governor. Those issues are issues that are within the state. As a president, you can step in as, an elder statesman, to try and resolve a crisis so that it does not escalate. But you cannot give an order. Order for what? I mean, what are the constitutional tenets or provisions for you to, as a president, to make an order for a crisis that is happening within the state? Right now, there is no destruction of life or property. All we just have are members, of the State House of Assembly, which is not within the jurisdiction of the president, that are, playing partisan politics. So, I think this asking parties to sign an agreement, I think, is an overdue or an excessive use of presidential powers, in my opinion. What this should be bare diplomacy. Ask parties to come together, let them have a drink, and let them talk. And then you, as the president, can intervene, can provide an opportunity for people to voice their concerns and voice their dissatisfaction, and then facilitate an environment where they can actually reach an agreement. That, I think, is what would have been appropriate. So to me, I think the president does not seem to understand the limits of his constitutional powers as president, and it is bordering, to be quite honest, on I think tyranny. in my opinion.
Thank you. Let me pause you there. Now, lastly, and this is like going to be the last question, Lighter. What do you think? What is the legality of that presidential order? What is the legality of that signed agreement? As you have said, there is absolutely no need for any agreement. What should have been done is for them to go into a meeting, have a conversation, then everybody talks, and then they agree verbally. There's no need for anybody to sign it. They could write it down as this is our agreement. I should have said there's no need for them to sign anything. So the question I'm asking you, Lighter, is how legal is that document that Fubara has signed?
It's not notarized. It's not legal. The agreement is not legal. It just everybody just sign. So you sign, I sign. So it doesn't. It's not binding. It's not notarized. You don't swear that okay, I will abide by this law. I will abide by this. If that is it should be notarized. That okay, oh, I sworn to do this. If I don't, it's not the agreement is not binding. By and large, I don't want moral rights. If it is so, what moral right does the Mr. President ask to ask them to be signing for what? That is not how to the case that is treated towards one person. Those guys, we can ask overbearing influence of them. They can ask them to impeach the governor again. Don't you know? The commissioner, they might not work, they might not be, they are not in league with him, they don't love the governor. That's why they resign. For what? You are dipping your hand into the pocket of the state to finance commissioner, to finance House of Assembly, to finance senator, to finance rep. It's criminal. Wike should be caught to order. Wike should be jailed. He should be tried. No, I'm telling you the river. Why should you on net be saying, okay, I sponsor this, I sponsor that, and you are coming to the public glare to say that, right? You are boasting, and everybody, all what you do, all what you say is what they will do. Right? We are not going anywhere with all this type of governance, the leadership in Nigeria. Right? We are not going anywhere. I saw President Biden is appealing to us that okay, Democratic member, please chip in $25, chip in $10, chip in $5 to enhance the process of the campaign. Right? So you beg for people, you beg for money there, and that is why they are killing themselves, because a lot of money is in the circulation. It's at the federal. So the president can wake up and coerce anybody, do this is what I want to do. But I don't want to believe that it can happen, that President Bola Tinubu asked them to do this. It's wrong. If it's the advisor, the judicial, what is it called? The chief, Attorney General should have advised him that, oh, you don't go on that route. Anybody, we must do our own within the confine of the law. Right. We don't
I think to add to what Mr. Olaitan is saying, I think there is an entity that can really upset this so-called agreement. And that entity is the PDP. Because if I were the PDP, I will not take those 27 members back. Actually, as a matter of fact, I will expel them from the party. Now, if they are expelled from the party, they can't stand for any election.
They are not saying they want to go back to PDP. What the president said is that they should be allowed to be in APC, but they should not be, their seat should not be declared vacant.
Well, that's unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional.
I mean, the president is not a king. He's not a king.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You cannot give
it's not an emperor. It's not
an emperor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He needs to understand the limits of his. Look, these 27 members were ill-advised. And if they, at this stage, if they are members of the State House of Assembly and they cannot understand the legal ramifications of their actions, to be quite honest, they shouldn't be in that position.
Yes, of course.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, they should not. They should not.
Okay, just one more question before we go. Let me bring this to you, Shupo, and then Lighton can also respond. If you are governor of a state and 9 commissioners resigned because they just don't have that respect for you, they just don't think they can work for you, they just don't think they're on the same page with you, and somebody is saying you have to take them back. Now, what kind of kitchen cabinet will you have when there are people there that are imposed on you, that you cannot control, that you cannot give orders to? Do you think if Fubara decides to pay a peacemaker and brings them back, do you think he's signing his own death warrant?
I think it will
Politically.
further weaken Governor Fubara's position as governor. And I think that will set a bad precedent. Look, somebody resigned. So first and foremost, is he going to unresign his resignation or her resignation? Or I mean, what does that mean? If I were Governor Fubara, I would not take them back. Now, as a gesture, maybe of goodwill, I can ask, the other side to give me 3 new names from which I will pick one.
Right.
But I would not take them back.
Right. I think that's a very, very intelligent way to, yeah. Lighton, what's your reaction to that?
It is even inimical for him to take them back. It's unjust. These are your enemies. They are known enemies now. They are not working for you. They are not working for the progress of the state. Right? They are not loyal to you. So why are you absorbing them? Why are you saying that there is no sacrifice that is too big to make for the peace in the state? So he simply agreed that okay, he wants to go any length to make sure that there is peace, the peace reign in the state. No, it is not done. We need the human rights fighters, human rights activists now to come out. The lawyers, everybody, they should come out. Those guys that have resigned their appointment, they should be, and the PDP. So they need, this is the time. So anybody can say, anybody will not be later on, okay, I want to jump, I want to go cross carpet or what? And moreover, my stake, Wike, should be called to order. That is it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lighton. So, and Shupo, we've come to the end of today's deliberation. I want to say thank you to everyone that is watching this telecast. Listen, if you have not yet subscribed, please press that button right now. It is free of charge. It means anytime when we do our next video, you'll be one of the first people to know about it. And we're using this medium to say Merry Christmas. Tomorrow is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. Have a lovely new year. We wish you all your heart's desire in the new year. And I want to say thank you, Mr. Olalawal from Calgary, Canada. Thank you for coming to today's meeting. And thank you for the whole of the year for you showing up every day. Every week. Thank you so much, Mr. Lawal.
Thank you for having me.
And also my very good friend in America, Mr. Olaiton Adedigba. Thank you for showing up every week in the last one and for the whole of the year. Thank you so much. To all our viewers, we'll see you again next Sunday by the special grace of God in the new year. Have a lovely, lovely new year and goodbye.